So I'm in Arnside today. This is one of my favourite walks. And so what I thought I would do today is, rather than do a normal walk and talk video, I would actually just take you on the walk and show you all the twists and turns and views so that you can really appreciate it. And I think this is the best place to park because the view is just fantastic. So if you've brought a picnic, then it's really great, and it's basically just at the end of the main road into Arnside. There are a few other places to park. You can park just near opposite the railway station along the road, and then just off the road, kind of on the estuary front. So this is the estuary, and we're actually looking kind of north here at the Lake District, so you can just see the Lake District hills on the far side of the estuary. So I'll just give you a quick idea of why this is one of my favourite walks. And the first thing is that it starts in a lovely little village with great amenities, and it's always nice to top and tail a walk with some good cafes, toilets, etc. Good parking. All the parking here is free, but of course the real benefits are in the walking. And the great thing about this walk is it's kind of got everything. It's got this beautiful, peaceful estuary at the start, and it's got woodland walks. It's got a fantastic kind of craggy coastline and countryside walks, elements of the walk, you know, really nice hilly parts and fantastic views out over both Morkan Bay and from the high hills through to the Lake District. I actually describe this as the Southern Lake District, although there's actually no lakes here, but there are some lovely fells. And the other great thing about this is that the Lake District has just seen an absolutely incredible amount of rainfall, so, well, probably about 18 inches over the last week, so it's very wet. So this is just one of the walks that you can do that is navigable even after that amount of water's fallen. And you can see it starts off very civilised, but it gets a bit more challenging as we progress. So the work I'm following basically takes you all the way along this coast to this sort of headland there, and then we'll cut in through the forest. So this part of the walk is about as muddy as it gets, and I'm just in trekking shoes, not waterproof, and this is probably the worst of the water, so just stepping stones. So I've just finished the muddy part of the walk, and we're kind of onto pebbles now, which are a bit harder underfoot, but as I say, I don't wear walking boots, I don't own a pair, I only wear kind of trekking shoes. And so that was just a little bit slippery, and on a drier day that is just a lovely surface to walk on, kind of dry, compacted mud. And now the walk just gets that little bit wilder, being on rocks and through and under these trees, but it's all perfectly easy to navigate. You can't get lost on this part of the walk because you're just basically following the edge of the estuary the whole way. It is actually kind of delightfully rough underfoot, and I would say pretty much anybody can do this walk, provided they've got a good sense of balance and don't mind rough surfaces underfoot. I really like rough surfaces underfoot, strengthens the feet, and I like that it's uneven because I like kind of challenging my balance. I'm at that age now where balance can rapidly degrade, and so I do like to stand on one leg for a minute a day on each leg, morning and night, to keep my balance as good as I can. And filming is not exactly the right thing to be doing when you're walking on kind of uneven surfaces like this, so I will give it a rest now for a few minutes. But basically we're just going around here. So now we're at our first decision point. We want to be here, but you might be tempted to go around here, but don't. Just go down here and then follow the path around. And actually, behind all those clouds is Arnside Knot, which is a really nice fell with stunning views. And we'll probably be coming back that way, and hopefully all that mist and cloud will have cleared. But for now, we're going on this little road, and there's a little cafe just here at about the 1.5 mile point. I won't be stopping, but if that's enough of a walk for you, as I say, cafe, children's play area here, and you can of course just walk back from here, and it's a very scenic 2 mile stroll. So now we're back on easy walking, just this gravel beach effectively, and you start to get your first view really of Grange-over-Sands. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see it. So you can see it's a very, very pretty place, all built on the hillside, and so it has amazing, stunning views. I think it would be a great place to live, although it's quite expensive. And being right on the southern edge of the Lake District, I think still gets its unfair share of rain. So now we're coming to the headland here, and this is navigable by foot around the beach when the tide's a bit lower than it is today, and when it's a bit drier. So what I recommend you do, and actually I generally prefer to do this all the time, is to start looking for paths up into this woodland area, and then you can enjoy a lovely kind of woodland walk. And after all of this walking on these pebbles, it's quite nice as well just to get a rest and go on some nice soft woodland paths. And on a sunny day, it's also nice just to get a bit of shade. So there are a few paths that lead up into the woods. This is the first one here, and just try and stick to fairly close to the cliff edge and the sea, but don't worry too much. All these paths kind of generally lead in the same direction, and so this is so nice underfoot now, especially with all these lovely spongy leaves, and being of course so close to the estuary and soon to the sea, it's always fairly dry. Sorry for being out of breath. This is quite a hilly little section. So I'm on this woodland path. There's all sorts of different paths. I never take exactly the same one, but you can just kind of see the edge there of the woodland, so I know roughly where I am. I'm just following the headland because I want to get back onto what's essentially the cliffside path as soon as possible, because it's just so pretty. So here it looks like there's a good opportunity to break out into the light again. Oh yes, So that's the headland that we would have come round if we hadn't gone through the woods. And it's just a bit marshy down there. And again, you can see Grange and this little, I guess it's like a little bay really. This is all marshland here, but this is all nice and easy to walk on. You can stay up here where I'm going to stay, on this gravel or down on the grass there. And when we get to that little rocky outcrop here, again you want to make your way up and go through the forest for a little bit. If you keep your eye out, you'll see that there are some strategically placed benches, and so it's a nice little place to stop and just soak up the view. Okay, so we've reached these little rocks here, and there's like a little path through here, and you just find your own way basically. And you want to get up there where those benches are. Can you see them? Just up there. So this bit is just flooded here, so I'm going to backtrack and find my way up there somewhere. So I'm going to go through here. And I've only got shorts on, and it can be occasionally a little bit prickly, but I'm fine. So now I've picked up the little path through the woods again, and this will bring me out where those benches are. And again, this is another fantastic spot, and if you come here with kids, it's just great here because parents can sit here and kids can just kind of run wild and explore all around this little bay and just have a great time. The kids with me today, so I'm following this little woodland path, and keep as close as you can to the cliffs. Well, not cliffs really, but to the rocks that border the shore. And we're just coming out of the estuary now onto Morkan Bay, the edge of Morkan Bay. So to your right, you're high up now, is what I'm calling the cliffs. Just keep close as you walk through the woods. And the reason that you want to keep close to the edge is because you kind of come out here onto this, what I think is one of the prettiest stretches of coastline in the country. And yeah, so now we're on the edge of Morkan Bay, and you can see as you go around here, this is the kind of the estuary here, and you can see the mist on the hills. And down there, just to get your bearings, is Barrow, and just past here through this little cutting through these scrub bushes is this beautiful rocky coastline. Now this bit can get a bit overgrown in summer, but at this time of year it's fine. And stay now on this little rocky path and enjoy some of the best scenery. So this little overgrown bit took about 5 minutes, and it's worth it because I love this. But what I like even more is when we get to the rocky bits, and this is kind of the start of it here, and it just gets better and better. I'm a sucker for a rocky coastline, and maybe it's because I live in St Annes where all we have is beach and dunes and not a rock in sight, but I just love this. Now it is a little bit slippy underfoot, so as I said, this walk at this time of year is only for the fairly sure-footed. But for me, it's this sort of view that really makes it all worthwhile. Not that there's been anything really challenging about the walk so far, but it's this rocky coastline and this stunning panoramic view. Here's the rocks here, you can get a better view of them when we're not looking into the sun. So basically the walk, this stretch of the walk now just carries on like this, just a very narrow little path and amazing views, and we'll just dip in and out of those as we go. So after about 5 minutes you'd have to just break inland for a bit because it's just not navigable along the cliff side path. It's just a bit too overgrown, but this little woodland walk again, it's not too shabby, so I don't mind it. I'm getting a bit hot now. I haven't seen a single person on this walk so far, which is very unusual. I mean, one of the reasons I like this walk when I'm on my own at this time of year is because you do see normally somebody every 10-15 minutes, and that's important from a safety perspective because today I've only got my little day pack on, which I think of as my everything goes right pack, and obviously if I was out on a more challenging walk I have more emergency stuff with me, but I'm just assuming that if I tripped over and broke my ankle, somebody would walk past and give me a hand. Anyway, we're soon back on the rocky part of the walk, and I just views like that for me, I don't know, they just do something to my brain. It's amazing, I love it. And that is where we're going for lunch. So I'm just going to pop you onto the wide angle lens in a minute so that you get some idea of what I'm seeing. I can't do this very long because there's no image stabilisation on the wide angle, so the walk would be very bumpy, and so I'm having to walk very slowly and carefully. But I just wanted you to get something like, it's a poor facsimile of what the walk feels like for me, but hopefully it's better than nothing. And so we're back to this narrow perspective. It's just starting to rain, but then that's the risk you take when you go out for a walk at this time of year, and in particular when there's all these amazing clouds, you know. And I would much rather walk on a day with the risk of rain with clouds in the sky than a sunny day where it's all blue sky. Partly because it's just too hot, but also because, I mean, these clouds, they just make it, don't they? It's so beautiful. I also don't mind that it's raining a little bit because I've got a little bit of luxury in store for myself in a few minutes time. So now we've just come to a place where there's nice easy access down here to the beach, and again this is a fantastic spot for kids. It's just all these rock pools and things to explore. It's gorgeous. The sun's gone in, raining a little bit, but I'm in the woods now, so I'm dry. So now we're leaving that cliff edge behind and walking in the woods. Gets a bit hilly, but just got to revel in that. So as you're walking through the woods, you're just keeping the sea on your right, and eventually you get back to civilization, and we're actually at 2.85 miles, so it's not been very far, and you come to this extremely pretty static caravan site. Whole gates run it, and they are quite expensive, as you would expect, but you can't beat the views, and I'm often tempted to come here, but then I just think, well, I can just day trip here, and it only takes me an hour to drive from home to here, so it's kind of pointless spending all that money on a caravan when you've got such easy access. But I love walking through here because it's just so really nicely maintained, and the caravans are lovely, and I kind of just stay in them vicariously. So as you're walking through the campsite, you want to follow the signs to far Arnside. That brings you out here. I've never seen this barrier before, I'm not quite sure what it is, but anyway, that's where you want to go, down there. So that barrier was just to control access to the campsite, so it doesn't matter if you're on foot. And we're just going to follow this little road now. There's no cars, so it's a welcome relief to have some easy walking. And that low cloud mist has cleared now, which is good, because that's the way I'm going home, up over these hills. But there's a lot of walking in front of us yet. Nice little gardens and some extremely cute houses on this walk. I'll show you those as we go. And we are going towards Silverdale. Now you don't have to carry on to Silverdale if it's a bit too far. You can pick up this little footpath here and just head up into the hills there on that path and back to Arnside, the car park. But Silverdale is worth the walk. I really like that I get to walk through farmland. I do eat meat, and so I love to see animals grazing in the fields, and these are particular beauties. I actually get my lamb from the salt marshes which are in this area, where the lambs roam free pretty much all through the year and mostly feed themselves, although they do have hay and the like in the middle of winter. So that bit of walking on the road is about 0.2 of a mile, and we just go straight through this gate and into this open farmland. As I said at the outset of this walk, one of the things I just really love about it is all this variation, and I do love walking through farmland, just like I love walking through forests and along cliffs and beaches and things like that. It's just really nice to see the kind of complete tapestry of our wonderful landscape here. And so we're basically just walking along here and through these trees here. On the other side of the trees is Holgate's caravan site. It's the mobile caravans and camper vans and tents and things like that, but also where all the facilities are. So through this gate, and then it doesn't really matter which route you take, so I think they all go to Holgate's, but I'm going to go today just up here and through this gap. This is the swimming pool, small but perfectly formed. Oh, that was nice. So now just going to walk around the back of the complex through this little gate and back onto the road for a couple of minutes. And then you come to this little junction, Silverdale up there, that's where we're going, but we're going this way down here where the no through road is, but there's a through footpath. So I normally start my day with a swim, jacuzzi, sauna and steam, but it was really nice to have those mid-walk, a bit of luxury. That's how I like to live. Lots of cute little places down here. Sometimes they have llamas in this field. I don't know whether there's any here at the moment. Can't see any. And there was quite a lot of rain actually while I was in the swimming pool. So we're heading down there to the sea. You can see the sea here. I'm in a t-shirt now, which is not bad for November. So we want to follow this little path left. But if you go right and down here, just around the corner there's a great little cave. So if you've got kids with you, or big kids, then that's a great little place to explore. So we're going up there. But there's the cave. And there's a tree here that I always keep expecting to have fallen into the sea because it's so precariously kind of perched on the edge here, look. It's still there every year. And then we're back in farmland again. This little bit here always reminds me of Teletubby Land. And again, it's a great little spot. If you've got kids with you, just let them run up and down these little hillocks. But I'm going down there onto that little beach for lunch. But to get to it, we just walk along this little rocky outcrop and through that gate. It's about there, and another gate about there. We just follow these little rolling hillocks rather, into this corner. It's actually marked as a footpath here. So when we get here, you can turn left and go up into Silverdale village, where there's toilets, cafes, bars, and a really good little corner shop. Or you can turn right and walk down to the beach. And I'm actually going to do both because I'm going to get lunch from the shop and I'm going to eat it on the beach. So I'm going left the hill. So there's a very handy little co-op here. Toilets are just past it with two separate signs just down here. So now I'm going right and heading down to the shore, and it's actually signposted the shore. And if you don't like picnicking on the beach, there is a hotel here that serves food, as well as some cafes in the town, in the village centre, although quite a lot of those were closed given the time of year. I didn't mention probably that this is the beginning of November. Arrived at the picnic beach, and as you can see there's lots of seats here, and there's more seats down here, and absolutely, let's get that wide angle on, absolutely stunning views of Morkan Bay. And now the tide's out, it's actually kind of believable that you can actually walk across this bay to Grange if you have a guide and the time is right. And I would not be doing it myself, I'm afraid. But yeah, people do it all the way from Morecambe all the way to Grange. And I particularly like that there are these little terraced cottages, fishermen's cottages no doubt. Such modest little properties with such an amazing view. So I'm going to have my luxurious bread and cheese lunch, and then I'm going to reverse course and walk back to that Holgates campsite where I went swimming, and then we'll take a branch there. Now I know some people don't like retracing their steps, but actually I'm absolutely fine with it, because you could probably do this walk every day for the whole of your life, and you'd be noticing something different every time. For example, I didn't notice these lovely cows last time I came down here. It was only half an hour ago. And what a lovely pastoral scene that makes. So we're back to the tree that's fallen off the cliff, and the cave, and this lovely little path down here. Honestly, views like this make retracing your steps quite a pleasure, more than a pleasure. I love that there's all these seats as well on this walk, and I might sit down for a minute. So we're back at the swimming pool, and this time we want to walk up here and take this branch here, which is signed Arnside Tower, which we'll see in a minute. So you're basically just following that little tarmac path road until you see just here this little footpath marker. It's not very easy to spot, but once you actually get there, it's easy to see the path that you're going to take. And here you finally get the first good view of Arnside Knot, which is this fairly big hill here. Whether we'll climb that or not today, I don't think we will actually, because my Achilles tendon is just twinging a touch, and I won't hike again later on this week, so I want to avoid any risk of injury. And those 5 minutes down this little track, probably the worst part of the walk because the hedges are very high. This is quite a nice little treat. This is the ruins of Arnside Tower, and we're almost at the point where we're going to head back into the hills now. First we've got to just go down here through this little farm. It is often a bit muddy down here. So in the summer this farm sometimes has a little cafe here, and the kids can play in this kind of little adventure playground area, which is really nice. And the farmer's put this little diversion in around his farmyard, which makes a lot of sense. And then we're just going to walk up that path there, and then directly opposite there we're going to head up into the hills. So just as we reach the road, this is what we want: footpath to Arnside here. And you can go up Arnside Knot. That's quite a walk, but you still get a decent cardio workout just going up the nice leisurely route I'm going to go. And so now it's just basically a beautiful woodland walk with really nice panoramic views out over the estuary after about a mile. Just in case you're interested, my feet are nice and dry, not too muddy, so boots not required. So if you're following the direct trail like me, main trail rather, you just carry on down here, and there's quite a few side trails that head off that take you up to the knot. But as you can tell from my laboured breathing, you definitely don't need to go high to get a good workout. There's plenty of light climbing, and combined with a brisk walk, that's a pretty good workout. So early on in the walk, just as we were coming out of that static caravan site, I said that you could take that branch and head up towards Arnside Knot and skip the whole kind of Silverdale part of the walk. Well, this is where you would come out here. So then we come to the first of many viewpoints along the trail. I don't know whether you can actually see with this camera, but you can just about make out, or I can just about make out, the Lakeland Fells. And we're on the estuary bank now, high up, and heading down. So this is the last bit of the walk really that gives you a good panoramic view of the estuary, and then we're basically joining into the outskirts of Arnside village itself, and from there you can take little paths to your left that lead you down to the part where we started the walk, walking on the estuary bank. But I actually like walking through Arnside village myself because I love good architecture, and there's plenty of great examples on show. So that's what I'm going to do today. And then you follow this little road down to civilization, although there's actually some pretty fine houses along here. So that's basically the end of the countryside part of the walk. That's about 7.5 miles, and now it's all just admiring lovely houses. you're just following the main road. And so here we are, back at the car. And it's been a lovely walk, and just over 8 miles and 3 hours walking. It's a little bit more than that actually, because I forgot to set the watch going. But I'm going to have a picnic here overlooking the estuary, and I should be home by 3 in good time for a nap. That's the way I like to live, nice and relaxed. So I hope you like this first attempt at a favourite walks video, and if you look in the description of the video you should find links to more info.